chase I need, no chase I need, no chase I need, no chase.
When you're talking about mass incarceration, you compare now this opioid crisis versus the crack era and Congress spending millions of dollars on drug treatment facilities. There is no more mass incarceration, and now people care about the drug dealers, the drug users. But you have brothers who are still locked up from the 80s. You have brothers who receive life sentences. You have brothers who did 20 plus years because of the crack era. And what's even more messed up about this whole thing, nobody pushed the opioid crisis on the white community. During the crack era, crack was pushed on us and they took the jobs. On top of that, when you talk about mass incarceration, laws were passed that completely eliminated any type of judge's discretion. I mean, there's tons of things to name. When you look at the sentence of a black man versus a white man committing the same crime, when you look at things like how more often we get pulled over, when you look at stuff like the New York stop and frisk, I've spoke about this several times.
For millions of Americans, the sight of a policeman instills a sense of calm, faith that order is being kept, that the good guys are watching. But for many others, thousands stopped on the streets of New York because they look or act a certain way. Encounters with the blue and white breed fear, frustration, and anger at a force that some say is bent more on intimidation than serving and protecting.
Of the thousands of daily stop and frisks, only 6% lead to an arrest, and little over 1% actually turn up a weapon. Critics say this is proof it doesn't work.
Nearly 90% of the stops were black and brown people, with the vast majority being black, and they actually found more contraband on white folks. Nearly 90% of the stops were black and brown people, but they found more contraband on white folks. But the whole video would be took over if I got into all that. Like I said, go back and watch my videos on the war on drugs. Studies show that people of all colors use and sell illegal drugs. If there are any differences, surveys are to be found that frequently suggest that whites, particularly the youth, are far more likely to engage in drug activities. There are more white users and more white drug dealers. In major drug-infested cities, nearly 80% of young black men have criminal records. When you look at the nation's prisons and jails, they are overflowing with black drug users and drug dealers. It may be surprising to some, but the drug crime was declining, not rising, when the drug war was declared. From a historical perspective, however, the lack of correlation between crime and punishment is nothing new. Sociologists have frequently observed that the government's use of punishment is primarily as a tool of social control. Most people assume that the war on drugs was launched in a response to the crisis caused by crack cocaine. This view holds that the racial disparities in drug convictions and sentences, as well as the rapid explosion of the prison population, reflect nothing more than the government's zealous but benign efforts to address the rampant drug crime in poor communities. I mean, this view is understandable, given the sensational media coverage of the crack cocaine in the 1980s and the 1990s, but it's simply wrong.
If we're going to have a successful offensive, we need more money. Consequently, I'm asking the Congress for $155 million in new funds, which will bring the total amount this year in the budget for drug abuse, both in enforcement and treatment, to over $350 million. As far as the new money is concerned, incidentally, I have made it clear to the leaders that if this is not enough, if more can be used, if Dr. Jaffe, after studying this problem, finds that we can use more, more will be provided.
While it is true that the publicity surrounding crack cocaine led to the dramatic increase in funding the war on drugs, but there is no truth to the notion that the war on drugs was launched in a response to crack cocaine. On October 14, 1982, President Ronald Reagan officially declared the war on drugs, doubling down on an initiative that was started by Richard Nixon. Reagan declared that illicit drugs were a direct threat to U.S. national security, and through a series of legislation, we had the outcome of mandatory minimum sentencing laws of 1986. A study of urban black fathers found that 28% actually had access to an automobile. That rate fell to 18% of those living in the ghetto. And with all these fathers being locked up, they was arresting all these brothers. This destroyed the black family. Kids growing up without a father are 5 times more likely to be poor, twice as likely to drop out of school or end up in foster care or juvenile justice facilities. Kids growing up without a father are 5 times more likely to be poor and twice as likely to end up in some type of juvenile facility.
Message.
But yeah, on the mass incarceration side, crack versus opioid, these aren't my words, these are Congress words. Congress put out a statement that they want to focus more on the treatment than the incarceration. Can't make this up, man. But see, now we care about the users. And they also care about the dealers. Because the people that's pushing this stuff, they're not getting the same sentences. They're not going through the same stuff. And many of these families aren't being ripped apart. Please follow the History with No Chaser Facebook and Instagram pages.